If you're looking for something to go to sleep, welcome. This is a Honda GX390 that I'm disassembling and rebuilding.
This is a mess. Gross.
I'll start disassembling. Let's start with some easy pickings. Pretty much anything that I see that I can loosen up, I'll start getting to that. So the gas tank is one of the first things to go, aside from the diode. I got the engine without a carburetor, so that wasn't even something that I had to take off. Here's the muffler that I'm taking off next. I'm happy that the studs did not break. That is great. I have had many of these break. Next thing is the spark plug.
There looks like a little bit of water got in. Hopefully the cylinder is good.
The bracket, I should say. Can't you tell? I can't figure out focus on this thing. That is on the outside hole. And that's on that hole right there on the side. I'm checking to see that the piston is not seized in the cylinder. Outside is the rod and the inside is that spring. This is as much as something for you as it is a diary for me to figure out how to put it all back together. So while I'm taking this apart and you might still be awake, subscribe. Does that get into your subconscious? Subscribe. Yeah. And I'll compare that to the new one that I have. If I had the electric start. I don't know if I can convert it or not. That'd be nice. Doesn't feel like it's just a pop it out type of thing. I feel like it's 24. I ended up taking the flywheel off camera. Just it was not cooperating, so. Valve cover and the head's going to be next. Very rusty, but it's nothing to worry about. The seal is of course bad, but I've got a new one of those. And here the head bolt's coming off next. And I really like the videos that I do cars that they do with those, where they take the engines all the way apart and he's talking through that. This is nowhere like that, so if you were in for something as entertaining as that, I'm sorry. That does look worse than what it actually is. Valve pins to the one, the gasket kit. This is why people like Honda engines, because even when the cylinder bore is all rusted up, they will still run.
I don't think so. No, 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 no.
Here are the crankcase bolts coming off. All of them are the same size, and then followed by the actual crankcase cover. See, I think the problem is that he calls for blue, which is a big screwdriver. I have yellow, so.
I don't think so. No, 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 no.
You're going to see even in an air-cooled engine, you have chocolate milk.
I don't think so. No, 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 no.
There it is. Some more horrible out of focus. Can barely see the dot, but the dot is there, so check for the dot. The dot is right there. Even with some of the surface rust that's on these things and some of the wear, it's all going to go back. It did have, get new rings, but the lifters are going back. All the cam is going back the way it is. The crankshaft is also going to go back the way it is, because it's a low budget rebuild. That's not too bad. Some people remove this oil level float and they make it into an upgrade. I don't think it is an upgrade. I'm not going to be putting this in a go-kart. It's going on a stand with a pump, so it's going back in. Should have caught that. Bearing with it. It's a lot of rust, but I don't think that rust matters. No, McMaster, the rust does not matter. And the surface for the bearings, where the bearings go, those mating surfaces, they're fine. They're not new, but it's not the end of the world.
Let's see this. Nice. This is nice and dirty. These are still moving.
Rubber ducky, you're the one. When they took pictures of the moon, this is what they saw.
Yeah, that looks worse than when I first looked at it. Still has some cross hatching, but that top part of that cylinder's not looking pretty.
Say it, it's crusty. Here's my attempt at fixing that.
I don't think so. No, 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 no.
Yeah, still feel that.
So if the first time fails, try again. This is high precision machining right here.
I don't think so. No, 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 no.
But it still has.
So it's not the best thing to use a racer with aluminum parts, because the racer is steel and it can actually make marks on the aluminum. So I switched over to these wheels, and they, well, yeah, they're not the greatest. Here's the governor arm that I'm removing. This is some more precision machining. I'm just trying to get it as flat without taking it to a machine shop, because it's not worth it to take it to a machine shop at this price level. Either way, the gaskets are the size of Nebraska in thickness, so I'm not worried about it either. The best thing about this is that if I mess this head up, it's not the end of the world. Now here's an example of superhuman strength. Look at that. Yep, just taking 15-pound springs right off with just fingers. I did want to backface the valves. You want to backface the intake valves, not the exhaust valves. Create a little bit better flow. But but you don't do that with Scotch-Brite. I did want to actually start porting these and get rid of the lines that are in there and the rough entrances. But this is not a port job, it's just cleaning up the intake port and the exhaust port. Do you ever look at your arms and think, wow, you're hairy? Oh, you thought you got a seal? No, no, no. You have an otter, not a seal. Look at that.
I don't think so. No, 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 no.
I don't know what I'm doing. I think I'm going through like the stages of grief. I'm still in denial, thinking that it'll fit. It won't fit. Yeah, I got tired of those plastic wheels. Wire brush is where it's at, especially for these parts. And I'm going to try to do all of them, but of course I'm going to forget a couple. Now I switch from the process of removing things to adding things and putting things back together. That is my creme brulee torch, but it has more than one use. It's a multitasker. This method for removing stickers before, and it's worked out better than how it worked now. Now, for this glue, it didn't really want to melt. Most glues do want to melt. That is satisfying, peeling off that tape. Now for a rattle can little paint job, I think it turned out pretty good. Just what she wanted, a new ring. And I checked the size of it and it fits, no need for gapping. rebuilding engines works for me is I have to do it 2 or 3 times, and each time I have to undo what I did before because I forgot 1 or 2 things. So I really rebuilt this engine like 5 or maybe 10 times. Yeah, I saw the news about Paul Harrell, and I was thinking back about some of the stuff that he did, and he always used to talk about his pauses. And I pause a lot. Would I call these Shatner-esque pauses? Easy, 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 easy. Got it.
I don't think so. No, 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 no.
These type of crankcases where the cover holds in the oil, and you can see that in motorcycles and other small engines. It's pretty important that you tighten them correctly and torque them correctly, otherwise oil will leak, and I know that from experience. Now, do these bolts require oil on the threads for you to tighten them to the correct torque? Probably not, I don't know, but I don't think it will hurt. Now, somebody said that a business card is about 40,000, which is about as much as you want for an air gap for these coils. So if that's what you have, go ahead and use that. Best thing, having a Japanese engine with some Chinese parts, like this brand new Chinese carburetor from Amazon that was like $5 or something. Here's another great example of me rebuilding this engine 10 times because I forgot something, like I forgot to put that switch on before I put that cover on. So then I had to take the cover back off to put the switch on, to then put the cover back on, to then put the recoil igniter, the ignition recoil starter on, which I had to take back off and put back on. I'm sure you have noticed all the shirt changes. Those are all different days. Sometimes it gets so hot because it's Florida that I will change shirts throughout the day. But this has taken a couple of days at least, if not a couple of weeks, especially waiting for parts to come back, like those seals that were otters. But that's what helps me forget all these wonderful things, like where I left off and did I do that, or what is the next step.
Subscribe.